Chapter 12. My Australian Sojourn. One evening, my father came home and announced casually, "We're going to Australia." My mother and I were elated. "A surprise holiday. How sweet of you," Mother said. "Well, no. Actually, I have a 9-month work assignment in Brisbane," Father said. So we would now live in Brisbane, capital of Queensland, a province in Australia. How exciting! I thought. We arrived in Brisbane on the 13th of October and settled into our new home in St. Lucia, close to the Queensland University area. The area is lush green, calm and peaceful, picture postcard beautiful. I was admitted to Ironsides State School, one of the oldest and best schools in Brisbane with students from other South Asian countries. After a while, I started making new friends and slowly my feeling of sadness for my friends back home lessened. I also began to see how different the educational system in Australia is from what I was used to in India. No homework is given, and teaching and studies are limited to school hours. During holidays and weekends, we made it a point to explore the beauty and the variety of Australia. We visited Sunshine Coast Beach and Gold Coast Beach. We also visited the world-famous Bondi Beach. I noticed that the people there love the outdoors. They love water sports, such as surfing, scuba diving, sailing, and swimming. The Australians, too, have a national holiday on the 26th of January. They celebrate Australia Day to commemorate the establishment of the first British settlement at Port Jackson in 1788. We took the opportunity to visit the zoo in Brisbane, an unforgettable place. We saw most of the Australian animals there, including koalas and kangaroos. Koalas are bear-like marsupials that feed on the leaves of eucalyptus trees. They eat mostly at night and sleep during the day. The kangaroos are of two types, the red ones and the white ones. I was thrilled that I could feed some kangaroos. During the Easter break, we visited the steamy rainforests, which cover most parts of northern Australia. These dense, lush forests have more than 600 species of plants, trees, and wildlife. We saw koalas, kangaroos, wombats, and the emu bird. We also watched Aboriginal Australians, who supposedly settled here thousands of years ago. They live in total isolation from the rest of the world. The Australian government is trying to preserve their tribal identity. Our trip to Sydney during the winter vacation was a rich experience for me. The view of Australia's symbols, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House from the plane, was spectacular. After settling into our Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House Hotel, we took a city tour in a special open-roofed bus called Hop In, Hop Out. These buses have guides who narrate the history of the places the buses pass through. The first place we visited was the Sydney Aquarium. It has a variety of aquatic creatures like sharks, corals, and more than 1,000 species of fishes, and also the dugong, which is close to extinction. We visited Botany Bay where Captain Cook's ship the Endeavour docked in April 1770. It was first called Stingray Harbour because of the great number of stingrays there, but later the name was changed to Botany Bay. We spent a lot of time exploring Sydney. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is a marvellous piece of civil engineering. It is huge. It has 4 lanes for cars, 2 for trains and 1 for pedestrians. The Sydney Opera House is a magnificent piece of architecture. It is a symbol of Australia and centre for cultural programs and award functions. Our trip to Sydney was full of fun. I never had a chance to get bored. Food in Australia is so very different from what Indians eat. Traditionally, Australians are a nation of meat eaters. They love food cooked on a barbecue. Most of the houses we happened to visit in Brisbane had a barbecue and a swimming pool. Farming, dairy farming, and livestock are the preferred occupations of the people. The dairy products found in Australia are probably the best in the world, just as famous as their merino wool. After about 9 months, it was time to return. I fondly remember the beauty and the variety of the continent. I may have the opportunity to visit many countries of this big world, but I will never forget my Australia trip.